Hi, welcome here or welcome back. My name is Michaela. I am a wife, a mom, and a knitter from British Columbia, Canada, and this is Galanthus Knits. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching. It is April 24th and I am here filming my fourth video for my knitting YouTube channel. So I'm excited to get into some of the current things that I've been working on. Right now it is very rainy outside and I was just out doing some gardening and frolicking in the rain. So I am a little bit wet. My hair is a little bit frizzy and that's all right because that's just how it is here. And I like it that way. Also, since last we spoke, I had a birthday. So last week I turned 28 and it was really lovely. My husband asked me what I wanted to do for my birthday, and I told him that I didn't want to make any decisions for the whole day. He knows what I like, he knows what I like to do, and I wanted him to just kind of plan the day. And it didn't need to be extravagant or anything like that. I just didn't want to have to make the decision about what we were going to do. So it was really, really lovely. We went out for brunch with one of my friends from church in the morning with the friend, and then me and my husband and our daughter. And it was nice. I had vegetarian eggs Benedict. I love eggs Benedict, but it's not something that I make at home. So whenever I go out for like a nice brunchy type meal, I always go for an egg Benedict, but I am a vegetarian, so I usually ask them to substitute whatever ham or bacon or whatever for like a tomato or avocado or something like that, which is what I did. I had like a tomato and avocado eggs Benedict, and it was really nice. After that, we came home and we went on a hike. So we live up like partway up a mountain, and we can hike a few different trails just from our house. So there is a trail that we can take that goes like over our mountain and then down to the river on the other side, and then there's an ice cream shop at the river. So so we did that. So it was really fun. It did take quite a while, but and we had our daughter strapped to our back, like my husband had her on his back, we hiked over the mountain down to the river, along the river, and to get some ice cream. So that was nice. I had lemon curd ice cream, which was really nice for a refreshing warm day. A refreshing treat for a warm day, I should say. And I let my daughter have a little lick of it, and she's 9 months old, and that was her first taste of sugar. So she only had like a little lick. So, and she liked it, but she did give the kind of like, "Woo, it's cold" look, and it was funny. But yeah, that was nice. And then my mom came over in the late afternoon and she watched our daughter and put her to sleep so my husband can go out again. And we got sushi, and then we went to my favorite little lookout point, the mountain lookout point down this Forest Service road. You just drive down the road until the road bends, and on the bend there's this gorgeous view of my favorite mountain range, and we built a fire and we sat there and I knitted. He took some drone footage, which it turned out really nice. This beautiful, beautiful area. So it was really nice to sit there. And last year around this time, not exactly on my birthday, but on a different day around in the spring last year, we came to that spot and sat and had a fire, and I was pregnant with our daughter, and we were just dreaming about what our life would look like in a year's time. And then there we were again sitting there. Anyways, it was really, really lovely, and it was such a good day. Anyways, such a good birthday. I had such a good time, and I'm really thankful for everything that he did, and for my mom for watching our daughter, and yeah, it was a good day. So just wanted to say that. Also, since last we spoke, I've been doing a lot of gardening, and we have a greenhouse set up now. My husband built a deck for the greenhouse to sit on, and then he built the not from scratch, but we bought the parts for the greenhouse and he built it IKEA furniture style. Yeah, and it's not a super high quality greenhouse. It's, you know, what we thought we could afford, and I'm really excited to start using it. So anyways, those are my life updates. I will start with what I'm wearing. I recently finished my Cumulus blouse. I was knitting it as part of the Cumulus mini cowl hosted by Marlene and Julie Marquez from Marlene Knits and Julie Marquez. And I am really pleased with how it turned out. I did make it a bit cropped because I love to put these kinds of sweaters over like dresses and skirts, which is what I normally wear. So right now I'm wearing a linen brown skirt, and yeah, I really like the way that it turned out. I knitted it in Drops Air, which is a yarn that I quite like. Yeah, it does have some synthetics in it, but I like how soft and airy and light it is. So yeah, for me, and it's an affordable yarn to be knitting like a sweater's quantity, at least for me. What's going on here? Doesn't matter. Yeah, so I finished it up and I blocked it out on the deck a couple days ago in the sun. Now it's raining, but it was sunny just a few days ago. And I really like it. This is my first day wearing it officially for the day. I've just worn it like to try on or to see how long I wanted it, or after I blocked it, I tried it on before going to bed. But today is the first day that I'm actually properly wearing it. So far so good. It's been a few hours that I've been wearing it. Yeah, so that is my Cumulus blouse. The only modification that I made was that I made it shorter than what the pattern called for. Other than that, I followed the pattern to T. I did knit a size large because I wanted it to kind of sit a little bit like a lot more positive ease on my body, which I think I achieved what I was kind of going for. Like, it has a bit of a boxy, not too bad, but there's a lot of room basically. Like I can cinch. I'm not sure how many centimeters of positive ease that is, but it's quite a bit. But I like that. I like that it's not clinging to me. And I like that it kind of just drapes. It fits well. I like the way that it fits. So I'm really happy with that. This is actually, apart from the arboreal sweater, which I shared in my first knitting podcast, the one I was wearing in that video, this is the sweater that I've knitted for myself that I like the fit of the most. There's been quite a few sweaters that I've ended up frogging or giving away, or just they sit in my closet because I don't like the way they sit on my body. But this one I'm really happy with. I will say that kind of makes me hesitant to knit sweaters for myself. I do knit a lot of baby knits and things for other people, or accessories and things like that. But as far as sweaters for myself, because I haven't been very pleased with the way that they fit on my body in the past, I've been hesitant to work one up because it takes so long. But I'm really happy with the way that this one has turned out. So maybe that will encourage me to try a few more in the future that are just for me. So anyhow, all right, yeah, that's my Cumulus blouse. Moving on, what should I talk about next? Maybe my socks, because we were talking about that in the last episode. You may recall that in the last episode, if you caught up with me, I was talking about a sock project that I was doing for with some Drops Fable that I've had in my stash for a while, and that it was going to be a kind of like on the needles project for a while. I actually finished the first sock, and I'm about to start the second one. Now, last time we spoke, I had maybe this much worked up. Ooh. There we go. I had maybe this much worked up, and I wasn't sure about how this color was going to turn out. But now that the whole sock is worked, I don't mind it. I like that there's 4 stripes of that color in the sock. I think it worked out quite evenly. So I hope that the next one, like, it won't be exactly the same. The stripes won't line up exactly the same in the second sock, but I hope that the next one will turn out kind of evenly in that way, because yeah, out of all the colors in the sock, that's the one I'm the most unsure about. But I don't mind it. I don't mind the way that it worked Is it my favorite yarn or my favorite sock I've ever made? No, definitely not. But it was an experiment with the yarn that I've had in my stash for a long time, and it was a little side project. So yeah, I finished one. I will be working on the other shortly. And I knitted this with 2.25 millimeter needles, and I used double pointed needles. I don't like magic loop, so I worked up double pointed needles with this. But after I finished this project, something very sad happened. I was using 2.25 wooden needles, and I snapped one. And it was a set of 5, so I continued it with just the 4, and that was fine. But yeah, it was because it was in my little project bag, in the diaper bag, which I bring everywhere with me now. And I guess it got squished or moved in a way that ended up snapping it. So that made me hesitant to bring my DPNs in the little bags, kind of swimming around in places. So I thought I would try out a 9-inch circular needle set, because I'd never done that before and I'd heard mixed reviews. So I cast it on a different sock. Of course, I didn't do my second sock yet. I did something else. All right, 1 second. I cast it on a different sock. Oh, there we go. In 9-inch circular needles, 2.25 millimeter. And I started with 64 stitches, as I did in the previous sock. And I used Cowichan Sweater, which is one of their sock yarns, or maybe it's their only sock yarn. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with all of Cowichan's yarns. And then I did kind of like an off-white, and then I used this color, which is called Light Moss, in the heel, because I had this color left over from when I knitted up my Baranduin sock. It was my test knit for Fox and Folk, which that pattern is now live. You can go get that pattern, and I really love the way that the socks turned out. So anyways, I do have a lot of this color left, so I thought I would do heel and toe color contrasts for a simple vanilla type sock. And I wanted to make the cuff a little bit shorter, just so it's not such a long, like it's kind of more like an ankle sock, but not an ankle sock that it would like slip off your heel, like long enough that it will stay on. I hope that's long enough. Anyhow, I do like the 9-inch circulars. They definitely, these are metal as well, but I'm not fearful of breaking them or anything like that, or losing them even, because sometimes if you have like a loose small DPN and it just falls into a crack of somewhere, I've definitely lost them before. But my gauge is a lot tighter with this. So this sock is turning out to be a bit smaller than what's comfortable for my foot, which is fine, because again, it was an experiment. And I have a friend who lives in the UK who I would like to knit a pair of socks for, and her feet are slightly smaller than mine. So I think actually that this pair will go to her if they work out, which is great, because I was planning on knitting her a pair of socks soon anyways. Yeah, so I do like them, but I just have to keep in mind that my gauge ends up being a bit tighter when I'm using them. So if you have used 9-inch circulars before, let me know if you like them. Yeah, there's quite mixed reviews on them. I know a lot of people have tried them and really hate how tiny they are. I don't mind how tiny they are. I don't find my hands get too cramped after working them. But yeah, but it is quite tight. So anyways, I really like them. I'll just show them one last time. My circulars, struggling a bit. Yeah, and then my heel and my sock, and it's just normal. It's a short row heel. That's kind of the easiest heel for me to just do without having to think about. So that's what I've done. So those are my 2 sock projects that I've done. Oh, I did go to the knit store downtown in my city to get the main color for the sock, which is, again, Cowichan Sweater. And I picked up a few other sock yarns while I was there, just because I really like Sisu. I think it's a really nice sock yarn, and it's not too expensive, and they come in a lot of different colors, and they're not too, like, it's not like a soft merino, but it's not a really rustic sock yarn either. It's kind of in between, so I like that. So I picked up a few different colors just to have in my stash for socks in general, because I feel like socks are one of those things that are easy to keep in your bag just in case you have a bit of time here and there, especially if you have just the little 9-inch circulars. So along with that white, I also have this dark black gray color. It's not quite black. It's got kind of gray flecks in it. And then I picked up this lighter gray color. And this sort of, it's a red, but it's kind of, ooh, it's like a berry red, you know, like a raspberry type red. So kind of like a pinkish red, but not, yeah, you know what I mean. I hope that you can see that properly. It's not very bright out today. It's very dark. So I do have the kitchen light on over behind the camera. Probably not the most flattering light, but that's what we're working with today. And I've got a lot of time today because my husband took our daughter out for a bit. So anyways, yes, I have these colors now, and just for in my stash, and I have some of the white. I will have some of the white left over and some of the light moss color left over as well, so I can cast on different socks. I was thinking about trying some color work socks. I've done lace socks, I've done cabled socks, I've done just vanilla socks, but I haven't done a colored work sock before. But I have heard people say that you should size up with needles in the color work section because it tends to be quite tight to get a sock on in the color work section, especially if it's in like the cuff. So I'll experiment and see if I need to be doing that for potential color work socks in the future. There's a pattern by, oh, I don't know how to pronounce her name actually. Hold on. Okay, I don't know why looking up her name made me think I could pronounce it better than, than just from memory. I think she may be from Sweden. Her name is Anna Sjosvard. Sjosvard? I'm sorry. I have been to Sweden, but my Swedish is not very good, or borderline non-existent. She has a pattern for socks called A Shortcut to Mushrooms, and it's another Lord of the Rings inspired sock. But I kind of like that. I like Lord of the Rings. I'm not like a super fan or anything like that, but I do enjoy. I enjoy the trilogy, and The Hobbit as well, and I love the ideas of the Shire and Hobbiton and living as a hobbit. And I'm not so sure about the rest of the story, whether I relate to it or like it as much, but the hobbity bits I love. So yeah, A Shortcut to Mushroom sock I would be interested in trying as my first colorwork sock. So perhaps in the future I will be working that up, but it's not really in my immediate to-do list, if that makes sense. So okay, the next thing I want to talk about is something I cast on 2 days ago that I'm a bit unsure about. But I feel like it's one of those projects that's just a trust the process project, and I'll tell you about it. So, in the past 2 months, 3 of my close friends have told me that they're expecting a baby. And I'm really excited, but I have a lot of knitting to do because I love baby knits. I love baby gift knitting. And all the babies are going to be born in the autumn, in fall. So, and as far as I know, at least one of the couples isn't going to find out whether they're having a boy or a girl. I'm not sure about the other 2, but yeah, so I'm trying to think of some kind of cozy autumnal knits for newborn babies that are sort of gender neutral. And I kind of wanted to get a head start on that because I didn't want to save it to the last minute, especially if the last minute is kind of the end of summer when I don't really want to be knitting with heavy wools and things like that. So I casted on the Selma Sleepsuit. Now, I've had this pattern in my stash for a long time. I've never knitted it before. It's one of those patterns that's I feel like quite simple, quite straightforward, which is why I wanted to start it, because I wanted to just have something finished that was cozy, that wasn't like taking too much mental space in my head. But I knew this would be an issue, and I just have to trust the process. I do not like garter stitch. I don't. So this is the hood, and I've started on the yoke, so I've started the increases in the yoke here. I am working with yarn that I had frogged from a previous project, so it's got that kind of ramen noodle thing going on at the moment. So, and I do know that will affect kind of how things look evenly. So after blocking, it should straighten itself out a lot better. But I don't like garter stitch. And when I started the project, I said to myself, I could knit this in stockinette. I feel like I could just do it in stockinette, follow all the instructions, but just change the stitch, purl on the wrong side. And I just decided not to, because I actually like the look of the finished product. I looked at pictures on Instagram, like some other pictures of people who had knitted it up before, and I like it. It looks cozy, it looks cute, like it doesn't look bad. But when I'm knitting it, I'm like, ugh, it's such a bumpy texture, and like, I don't know. Does anyone else just not like garter stitch? I feel like it's quite popular right now, and I don't like it, and I never have. Maybe I'll just continue it. I'm not going to frog it. I'm going to just knit it up, knit the whole suit up. It'll be cozy. It won't even matter to the person who I'm gifting it to. In the long run, it doesn't matter at all. But to me, not my favorite stitch. So yeah, I'll just deal with it. But then if I do it and I'm like, next time I want to do it and I can do it in stockinette, then I'll just do that. If I end up knitting this pattern again, I'll probably just do it in stockinette. I don't know if anyone's done this because I didn't see it on anyone else's projects, but I was thinking about maybe once it's finished doing just a little I-cord edge just around everywhere to clean it up a bit. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. If you have experience with that or any suggestions. I've done obviously I-cord edging in different projects. That's on my Cumulus blouse right now. If it would look good on this, I'm not totally sure, but maybe it would just make me feel like it's a bit cleaner if I did that. I'm not sure. Let me know if you have any ideas. Yes, I'm sure it will be fine. I just don't like it. I don't like the way it looks. But I'll continue it. I'll continue working it. And I've had this, the yarn I'm working, Drops Heavy Merino in the colorway grayish, which I think is discontinued now, but I've had this in my stash for a while because it was from a previously frogged project, which I briefly mentioned a couple episodes ago, maybe in my first episode. I think I mentioned it in my first episode, but yeah, frogged a project, had a lot of this yarn and didn't know what to do with it because I'm not really a grayish person, so anything for myself I was like, yeah, but I think it will look cute. And I was also thinking of maybe doing like yellow buttons or something for it, just to kind of give it a little bit of life. I also want to knit this person a little bonnet to go for the baby to wear underneath the suit, and I might do the bonnet in like a yellow or like a burnt rusty orange or something like that. So like a pop of nice color with like a gray, I think would be really nice. But yeah, so Selma Sleepsuit. Don't like garter stitch, but it's an easy project to have on the needles right now. And that's all right. Sometimes you just need that. So yesterday I traveled an hour outside of my city to go to a different yarn shop that had this yarn that I was looking for. So yeah, it was good. My daughter needed a nap and she naps really well in the car. So we drove to the knit shop. Driving back from the knit shop was a little bit rougher because then she didn't need a nap anymore and it was a bit chaotic, but that's all right. So oh yes, for the project, so my friend's daughter is turning 2 in June, and last year for her first birthday I knitted her a sweater. It was the Little Dahlia, chunky Little Dahlia sweater in size 1 to 2 years, and I wanted to knit her another sweater this year for her second birthday. I also knitted her some baby knits for when she was first born. So This little girl has been gifted a lot of my knits so far. Yeah, so this time I would like to do the little Peacock sweater, because that sweater starts at size 2 to 3 years. So I really like that sweater, but I didn't know any children who were, like, all of my friends have like very young children or are pregnant right now. I'm kind of in that stage. I don't have that many friends who have kids. They only have like babies and toddlers. So yeah, so it's, or babies going into toddlers, I should say. So I'm going to knit the little Peacock sweater in Drops Air, which is the same yarn that I knitted my Cumulus blouse in, and I just like it. This is the color, I want to say it's called Mauve. Let me double check. Yes, Mauve. So I asked my friend what kind of color she would want, her daughter's sweater in. Last year I did it in a yellow, and she said kind of like a nice pink. Yeah, Drops Air has a lot of pinkish tones for as options. So I got her to look on the website and say like which ones she liked best. She chose her top 4 so that if the shop didn't have enough skeins of one, I could, you know, do a different shade. But her first option was the mauve color, which is the one that I got. So I'm going to hold it double because the little Peacock sweater is a kind of chunkier knit and it needs that extra bulk. And I did a swatch with the leftover of this color, which was wheat, Drops Air wheat, just to see if I would meet gauge, and I did with holding it double. But we're going on a short trip, just a couple nights in May to the Sunshine Coast. If you're from British Columbia, you probably know where the Sunshine Coast is and what it is. So hopefully I can get a lot of this done during that time. On that holiday, we'll be in the car a lot, so yeah, car knitting. I'm very thankful to have a husband who is willing to drive so that I can knit in the passenger seat, and then a daughter who is willing to nap in the car so I can peacefully knit in the passenger seat. So yeah, I'll be working on that whilst we're in the Sunshine Coast. Okay, last project that I want to talk about that I'm working on, last whip, is I had mentioned last time, ooh, here we go. I mentioned last time about my husband's Lopey that I was making for him, the Tundra jumper, I want to say. And I was talking about how, because it was bottom up, I wasn't really motivated to complete it or work on it very quickly. And someone in the comments actually recommended that I like schedule time that like I work on it every like Tuesday or whatever, like just pick a day of the week and that's the project I'm working on. And that was a really good idea because then it kind of keeps me focused on that project for just like even just a short amount of time. So I've been doing that, and I do have a little bit of progress, not too much, but a little bit of progress on the sleeve. Yeah, so last we spoke, I had maybe like this much done. Now I have quite a bit more than previously. So that was a nice recommendation and really helpful. So thank you. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. It's an ongoing process. This sweater, it will take me a while. Hopefully it will be finished by next winter. So my cat is here to say hello. Kind of. Here she is. This is Tivoli. She is named after Tivoli Gardens in Copenhagen. And she's half ragdoll, half something else, and we got her in 2020 when we were still living in the UK. She's from Derbyshire, and yeah, I saw an ad for a kitten just randomly online, and we've been looking to maybe getting a cat, and anyways, we drove to Derbyshire from Cheshire, where we were living. It was like a couple hours, and we picked up a little kitten and brought her home. So she was kind of in a way like our COVID pet because we were stuck in England. But yeah, when we came back to Canada, she immigrated. So it was kind of fun. I'm really thankful that we put in the effort of bringing her back with us. So I love her so much. And yeah, that's my cat Tivoli. Okay, I feel like I clap my hands a lot, but I shouldn't because the microphone is right in front of me. By the way, I have a different sound setup today, so hopefully it's okay. We'll see. A few more things to talk about. I went thrifting last week, and I picked up a few knitty bits, so I will show you my knitty bits. First, a cone. This is a lace weight cone. Should I put it kind of in the darker section so you can actually see it? I don't really know how to hold things. Can you see my cone? Woohoo! Okay, I don't really know how much this is, what it is, what's the haps. Inside, it says it's cotton, and it says color NAT, which I guess means natural. It's lace weight. There's a ton of it. So I got this at the thrift store for $2, maybe $3, possibly $3, this cone at my local thrift store. What a find. I always look in the yarn section when I go to thrift stores, and I go to thrift stores a lot because I can't be bothered to buy baby clothes for super expensive when I can just buy perfectly good ones that babies have barely worn, for next to nothing. So, but I look in the like crafting yarn knit section, and usually there's not really that much or nothing that I'm interested in. But there was this cone. So, and it was in a bag, like it was wrapped up, and I didn't know really what it was or how much it was, but I didn't care, or like how much was there, but I didn't care. It was in a bag. It said $3, I think. And I took it. So yeah, there's absolutely loads of yarn on this cone. I've never had a yarn cone before. I'm sure people who use cones are like, yeah, duh, that's what a cone is. But for me, I've never worked with one before, so I'm really excited. I don't know what I'm gonna make, but it's kind of sitting up prettily on my on the top of my bookshelf right now, or like it normally sits there, so I can look at it and just dream about some project like to use it for, or projects. It's gonna go a long way, so I'm really excited about this. What a find. Also, I found a few patterns at the thrift store, which I forgot to bring with me here, so I have to go get them. Okay, I got these patterns for 50 cents each at my local thrift store, and I have 4 of them. So the first one is a bit more of a kind of booklet. It's got some slipover and cardigan patterns in the book. Whoops. I probably shouldn't show my face so it can actually focus on the... There we go. How many patterns in this book? 11. There are 11 patterns in this book, which I thought there was maybe only 4 or 5. But there are 11 patterns. Ooh. Talk about retro. Retro for my age. Yeah, anyways, but I thought, ooh. Okay, I haven't properly actually looked at it yet. I thought a lot of these, like, yes, they look quite vintage in the way that they're styled, but that doesn't matter. They can be totally modern, modernized, styled modernly. I don't know. They can be worn today. So happy with that. I got this single pattern. It's a Sirdar pattern, kind of a cabled sweater, chunky cabled sweater. Yeah, someone's written kind of some notes in here, and I kind of like that. It tells a story, you know? Okay, another Sirdar pattern booklet. This is a baby cardigan that can be made 3 different ways, as it shows on the front, with a hood, V-neck, or with a collar. So that's nice. It looks like a decently easy project to work up for babies. And the last pattern that I picked up is by Lille. I've never heard of Lille before. But it's a pattern from the 2010 Olympics, which happened here in British Columbia, out in Vancouver. And it's a very Canadian pattern. Canadian Pride 2010. This kind of sweater is very West Coast British Columbia style. I believe they're called Cowichan sweaters. It's an old indigenous way of knitting. That kind of color work motif is what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, when I was a teenager, these sweaters were very popular, but in like fast fashion, not in hand knitted garments. But yes, this sort of animal, there's always kind of like an animal of some sort in the middle, and then they've got like color works on the bottoms and the tops in stripes, and then it always kind of has this little fold over collar, at least in the ones that I've seen, and then there's a zipper. So yeah, and then on the back, it says Canada. So yeah, if you look up Cowichan style sweaters, there should be a lot. These were very popular when I was a teenager, but again, in fast fashion, which I didn't realize, but I do now, is not great. You know, it's an indigenous style of knitting that the fast fashion industry kind of just took over and made stylish. But yeah, when I was in like middle school and high school, girls would be wearing these Cowichan style sweaters with like yoga pants and Uggs, you know, that was the style in British Columbia circa 2009. Yeah. So anyhow, yeah, so I picked up those patterns, and I'm excited to eventually knit up those. It's nice to have like just patterns in your stash for when you're wanting to cast something on that doesn't require you to, you know, purchase a new pattern, or say you have a lot of yarn left that you're trying to, you know, look through your patterns for inspiration. And finding stuff like this at the thrift store that's just inexpensive and yes, vintage, dated completely, but it doesn't matter because you can make it your own. It's just cool. It's cool. So I'm excited with those finds. Okay, this is the very last thing that I want to talk about. I frogged something recently. I'm a little bit sad about it, but realistically, it's not something that I gravitate towards wearing at all. So it's good that I frogged it, really. So when I went to Norway, one of the times that I've been to Norway in 2022, in November, I went to the Lofoten Islands in Norway with a friend who's from there. And we did a little road trip. I was pregnant at the time. And we went to a knitting shop in Henningsvær, and it had just newly opened, which was kind of exciting. They had a lot of like branded wools, but nothing local yet. But she said that they were going to get some maybe more local spun yarns in the future, but because it was so new, they didn't have that just yet. So I purchased yarn to knit up the Stockholm Slipover by PetiteKnit. And at the time I thought, like, I wear a lot of dresses, and I thought like a slipover would be really nice to wear over top. And so I knitted it up, and I didn't really end up liking the way that it fit on me. I think maybe my style would be more, it would fit more with like an open vest, like I don't know, like a cardigan vest. Is that how we'd call it? Something kind of like the Lonely Leftovers vest, or the My Honey vest, I think is what they're called. I'll put it on the screen. So anyways, I knitted up the Stockholm Slipover, and I just never wore it like at all. So I frogged it last week, and I reclaimed the yarn. So now I have more ramen noodle yarn. And this is Drops Lima. I'm pretty sure this is Drops Lima. I believe I have 4 or 5 skeins of it that I bought in Henningsvær. Yeah, so it's a special yarn in that I bought it on a trip, but it's not a special yarn in that it's like a local hand dye or anything like that. Like it's a normal, it's drops. Like you can get it a lot of different places, although I haven't seen Lima sold anywhere around me here. But yeah, I just wanted to reclaim it because it reminds me of that trip. It reminds me of the place we stayed at in Henningsvad. It reminds me of the Northern Lights that we saw while we were there, which we were only in Lofoten for 4 nights, and we saw the Northern Lights all 4 nights that we were there. So we were very, very blessed and privileged to be able to see that. This yarn reminds me of those trips, and I wanted to actually use it for something that would be more wearable, but I don't know what that is yet. So perhaps something like the Lonely Leftovers vest so that I can still use it for that. The My Honey vest I was looking at, and I'm not sure that I'm in the right mind space, like headspace, to be able to figure out 2-colored honeycomb brioche. But in the future, perhaps. Yeah. So I'm going to save this in my stash until inspiration hits or whatever. But I just wanted to let you know that I have frogged a project, because not everything you knit turns out amazing, and not everything you put effort in is what you hoped it would be, and that's fine. We have to be okay with those things, right? So that is it for everything I want to say for this episode. The sun is coming out a little bit, so you may have just seen a shift in the brightness. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining in on this knitting journey that I have embarked on YouTube. And yeah, if you would like to find me on social media, I'm really only on Instagram. So here's my Instagram handle, and you can find me. It's not specifically a knitting Instagram account. It's just my life in general. Yeah, so you'll get all sorts of things, mostly nature stuff, to be honest, like just lots of garden and landscape and mountains and hiking and foraging and things like that. A little bit of my family, although I keep my daughter's life very private. But yeah, you're welcome to join me on there. And yeah, thanks for connecting. Thank you for all the lovely comments that you've made on my video so far. And I will see you in the next one. I hope you're having a happy spring.